Welcome to the first Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast of the season. Well, the first match night one anyway. I'm at the RSC watching the Shelbourne players go over and applaud the hundreds of away supporters who have come to watch them draw 1-1 here at Waterford. Sean Boyd coming off the bench to score an equaliser for Shelbourne. He was then sent off a straight red card. Before that, Asamoah had put Waterford 1-0 up in the third minute. In truth, a draw was probably a fair result. We'll have more from here a little bit later on. We'll also be going to Daly Park, where Bohemians drew 2-2 with Sligo Rovers. We'll hear from Gareth McGlynn as Derry City overcame Drogheda 2-1. We'll have reaction from Eamon DC Park as St Pat's got an away win against Galway United 1-0, the final score there. And as I talk to you, Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk are tied at 1-1 in injury time. Barry Murphy, formerly of Shamrock Rovers and St Pat's as well, will be joining us to talk to us about that game. In the first division, it finished at Lone Town 3, Wexford 0, Bray Wanderers 1, UCD 2. Cork City opening up with a win against Kerry, 2-0 the final score there. Doherty with 2 goals, and Treaty United got a 3-1 victory against Cove Ramblers. We will be hearing from Turner's Cross a little bit later on. Before all that though, let's go to Tallaght Stadium. Dundalk and Shamrock Rovers meeting there. Watching for us, Barry Murphy. After the game, he sent this voice note.
How's it going, Oisin? Yeah, tale of 2 free kicks really here in a really good game in Tallaght. I thought Rovers started off really well, but Ferrugia causing all sorts of problems down the right hand side, forcing Walker and O'Kane to double up on him. He's just so unfortunate with injuries really. Coming off early in the first half and went down really hard on the shoulder after getting fouled on the edge of the box. And I think he was down for 9 or so odd minutes, but looked like a really bad injury. Dundalk seemed to play a 4-2-4 at times with Robbie Benson probably the furthest man forward and just looked to counter-attack, which they did pretty well in the early stages. They kept a really good high line, which isn't easy to do really when you have so many new faces in. But Andy Boyle, Anima Sahoon and the new keeper George Shelby, who was really impressed with all night actually, mopped up to everything that was thrown at them. The break and play for Ferrugia's injury really killed any momentum Rovers had started to build. He's, as I said, was doing really well down the right hand side, getting balls into the edge of the box, pulling balls back, getting crosses in. So it's really unfortunate for him and for Rovers now. What looks like it's going to be a long-term injury. Dundalk started to really grow into it, and Donal Horgan showed all of the experience, finding little pockets behind O'Neill, and did well to win the free kick that led to the opening goal. Listen, it was a really well-hit ball. There's pace in it, but I don't think Paul's to be happy watching it back in the morning. The ball was whipped over Trevor Clark's head, who replaced Ferrugia, but it was a good 2 or 3 yards inside the posts. Paul's initial position was okay when you look back at it, but when it's hit, he didn't seem to move his feet quick enough. You're looking to kind of get 2 or 3 short steps in instead of one large one, and after you made that large step, they left him scrambling and not enough power when he did get there to get enough of a hand to keep it out. He just kind of batted it into the top of the net. After the half-time, the introduction of Aaron Green and Dylan Watts made a huge difference with Aaron playing up alongside Rory Gaffney. Aaron was typical. Aaron, he runs really good lines and nothing is a lost cause for him. He won a free kick on just at the sideline there, and it was Horgan's turn to not jump, who went in a 2-man wall. The ball's whipped in by Watts. Horgan doesn't jump, it just goes over his head, and Watts picks out Green, who headed home from about 6 yards. Gaffney, even when that scoring is so vital to Rovers, you get to a block in on Green's mark and allows him a free header with the keeper kind of having no chance. Dundalk then had a really good chance themselves when Horgan got away down the left-hand side and found O'Kane, who headed off the post when he probably should have done a little better, but yeah, it was a really good chance. Rovers pushed for a late winner, but Dundalk held tight and would be delighted with that start. Bradger still without Byrne, Burke, Towell, Lopez and Kenny, and I think they found it hard to build up any sort of meaningful pressure, and will be a much different animal when they get their full allocation back. I thought Darragh Burns looks like a good sign and looks so much more dangerous when he's playing on the right hand side, and he naturally drifts inside and can get shots away, but he kind of started off on the left hand side and he was kind of a conventional winger then trying to get crosses in for Gaffney, but he's much more dangerous I think cutting in from the right. I think if you were to ask Diego O'Donnell to foretell how he thought it would go, he wouldn't be far off this. Gritty in the tackle, countered well and defending brilliantly with Andy Ball putting in a man of the match performance, and in what was a great battle actually with Gaffney up top, and with 11 new faces in the door, 5 of which starts at night. I think a well-earned point at the champions is a nice way to bet into the new boys in the league.
This is the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and that was Barry Murphy, formerly of Shamrock Rovers, St. Pat's and Bows, telling us about Shamrock Rovers' 1-1 draw with Dundalk. It was a good free kick by Gullen of Dundalk, but as you can tell there, Barry Murphy, who was himself a keeper, wasn't overly happy with Leon Poles. Right, let's go to Dalymount Park, where Bows drew 2-2 with Sligo Rovers. We'll hear from John Russell, the Sligo Rovers manager, in just a moment, but first, Donal Ryan, who was on commentary duty with Ocean FM, watched the game, and afterwards, well, obviously he watched the game if he was on commentary. After the match, he sent us this voice note.
Hi Oisin, Bohemians 2, Sligo Rovers 2, the final score here at Dalymount Park. Probably a fair result when all is considered. Bows opened the scoring at around 5 minutes. Estonian striker Stein Reincourt played some lovely 1-2s with James Clark, who was probably Bows' star man and probably the man of the match throughout. Danced through the Sligo Rovers midfield and lifted the ball over Ed McGinty to get off the mark in the League of Ireland for the big Estonian striker. It was all Bows then until Sligo Rovers equalised halfway through the first half. Rhys Hutchinson bundled his way into the box, and there was a bit of pinball going around, and the last touch managed to come off Hutchinson, who was fortunate to see the ball roll into the back of the net. Rovers then took the lead on the stroke at half time. A moment of magic from Fabrice Hartman. Wait till you see this one, lads. Picked the ball up on the edge of the box, danced past about 3 or 4 Bows players, drifted out to the right hand side of the box, cut back in onto his left, and the ball did take a massive deflection, but was still ended up in the back of the net to give Rovers the lead just on half time. It was all Sligo Rovers then at the start of the second half. Simon Power and Conor Malley in particular, the standouts for the Bit of Red here in Dalymount Park. Bows' equaliser came right at the death, and it was that man James Clark, after a fine ball from substitute Dylan Connolly, picked him out from the right hand side in the 93rd minute. Fine header from young Clark into the bottom right hand corner. Nothing Ed McGinty could do about it in the Rovers' goals. So full time here in Dalymount Park. Bohemians 2, Sligo Rovers 2.
Donal Ryan giving us the detail on the 2-2 draw between Bows and Sligo Rovers. After the match, he spoke to Sligo Rovers manager John Russell.
Yeah, really tough one when you concede so late on. Feels like a defeat. Have to say, really proud of the players' performance. We were on the back foot in the first 10-15 minutes, which is a tough ending to come to. You're away from home, but we weathered the storm, grew into the game, and we were a real threat through the middle and out wide with Simon Power, Fabrice Hartman, and we got 2 great goals to get us in front going into half time. And second half, I probably felt we should have had a penalty from our angle anyway, and you could go 3-1 up then. It's so important to try and get that third goal. We didn't. We were hanging on towards the end, and really disappointed that we're going to come away with a point.
And finally, John, if you include Max Matter and Ed McGinty, 7 new faces in the Rovers starting 11. Do you think that maybe they can be a surprise package this year, given that a lot of people probably had them written off at the start?
I think anyone tuning into the game tonight, especially our own fans, they've got to be excited about what they're seeing. I think we've really strong 11 on the pitch tonight. They're all still building relationships. We showed some good signs when we got the ball down. Look, it was a scrappy game and there was a lot of long balls, but we showed some good stuff, and yeah, I'd be pleased with what I saw tonight.
This is the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and that is Sligo Rovers manager John Russell speaking to Ocean FM following their 2-2 draw away to Bohemians at Dalymount Park. Right, let's go to the Ryan McBride Brandywell, where Derry City beat Drogheda United by 2-1. Watching this one for us, former Derry City player Gareth McGlynn, who always has a good stat or two.
It's actually Derry City's first opening day win since 2019. Although I have to say it was a nervy evening, as Drogheda did have their chances. The first half was pretty forgettable, but the second half was anything but, as Derry took the lead 62 seconds after the restart. Michael Duffy did well on the left hand side, cut inside, give it to Pat Hoban. Again, he pinned the centre half, laid the ball off to Ronan Boyce, who cut inside onto his left foot and from 25 yards curled a spectacular left-footed effort past Andrew Horgan. So that left it 1-0 to Derry City. Drogheda really should have levelled from the penalty spot within 5 minutes following a foul by McJanet on Keane. But second half substitute Ryan Brennan saw his effort saved by Brian Maher, who dived to his left to push the ball away. Derry doubled their lead then on the 63rd minute when Patchin drove a fierce right-footed effort through a crowd from 25 yards, and in fairness to Wogan, he did see it late, but he parried it only to the into the path of Horgan, who took a touch and was very calm from close range. And of course, it was the debut goal that he longed for. It looked a long way back from Drogheda from there, but they pulled the goal back quickly when Evan Weir's free kick. Again, he was very good on the night as well. Big left-footed centre half. I was very impressive. Long range passing, short range passing, distribution very good. They got a free kick just outside Derry's box, and he set up the wall, but it was a great strike, deflected off the wall. Marr was wrong-footed, hit the crossbar, and that was 2-1. And then Derry held out for a vital and important victory to give them all 3 points.
This is the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. I'm Oisin Langan, and that was Gareth McGlynn telling us how Derry City managed to beat Drogheda United by 2-1. Now, Jamie Lennon scored early for St. Pat's in their 1-0 victory away to Galway United at Eamon DC Park. Still to come, we'll hear from Galway assistant manager Ollie Horgan. Before that, though, here is St. Pat's boss John Daly speaking to Jonathan Higgins of LOI TV.
Yeah, we're obviously very pleased. We knew it was going to be a tough game, a battle, and I think the players dealt with it really well. I think the boys at the back won their headers, competed really well. We knew obviously what Galway were going to do and how they were going to do it, and it's very difficult. Even though you know what they're going to do, it's very difficult to stop. And I thought the boys done it really, really well. And then obviously you need to pose a threat at the opposite end, which I thought we did at times. Yeah, I think we've obviously shown a part of our game that probably you don't see very often, in the sense that you probably don't get asked to head as many footballs away. And to be fair to the boys, we've practiced it all week. They've probably headed 150, 200 balls away in training, and they probably thought it was mad the way we were training this week, in the sense that they had to deal with a lot of long balls and people competing in the air with them, and it was just trying to get that connection between them and clear communication on who's going to go and compete, and the rest giving cover just in case. So no, I thought they done really well, and they showed that, as you said, that character and that edge to them that I know that's there, but you probably don't get tested as much as you did tonight normally.
Look, there's very little in it. It was decided on a set piece, and to be fair to Pats, they changed their shape here tonight. They played 5 at the back and they scored early, and they had that to defend. I don't think either goalkeeper really had a save to make for all the endeavour. We worked our backside off. We certainly, for honesty and endeavour, we weren't found wanting. Probably for that little bit of, disappointed with our set pieces. We had a lot of them. They had, I think, 3 corners in the whole game, and they scored from 1, to their credit. We didn't defend it properly, and, to be fair to them, what do you do with the goal? He hit it in the top corner, and you couldn't blame anyone for it. I thought in the first half, after that, we were quite good. We pushed them high up the pitch. We couldn't get in behind them with the shape that they played. But to be fair to them, the 3 centre halves for Pats defended well. I thought we had a lot of endeavour, a lot of honesty, but probably lacked that little bit of, if you like, quality, in higher up the pitch. That I think Walshy hurt us when he got sent off. Although we went again, Pats went behind the ball with 11 players. But to be fair to Pats, they're a quality side, and can only compliment them and move on to next week.
This is the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and that is all the reaction from Eamon DC Park, where St. Pat's beat Galway by 1-0. I'm on duty in Inchicore next Friday night. I can't wait. Should be a good one. St. Pat's taking on Bows, and you can watch it live on LOI TV. Still to come, we'll hear from Tim Clancy, the Cork City manager, on their 2-0 win at home to Kerry, and we'll hear from Bray boss Ian Ryan on their defeat to UCD. But right now it's time to concentrate on what happened here at the RSC. Waterford drawing 1-1 with Bray. Asamoah, what a debut for him. He broke down the right hand side, just over 2 minutes gone in the game, got a shot off. I think it took a slight deflection and went into the back of the net. That put Waterford 1 goal up. Shells were really poor in the first half, it has to be said, but they were better in the second. They brought Sean Boyd amongst others off the bench, and Boyd got a goal, but then later he was sent off. We'll hear from Keith Long, the Waterford manager, in a moment. We'll also get analysis of this match from former Waterford player John Frost, who was on LOI TV duty with Matt Keane. Before all them though, let's hear from Damien Duff. After the game, I asked him if he was happy, sad or indifferent to get the draw.
A little bit of everything. Happy enough with the point. We obviously came down here to get 3, but very disappointed with the performance, individually and as a collective. But here, we've come away with a point. It's a very difficult place to come. I think it's a good eye-opener for the guys that there's no easy games this year.
Is that the good thing, that they've kind of had their opening night now and maybe those jitters can be put to bed or have been put to bed?
Yeah, well, I said that to them at half time. I said, you've had your 45 minutes of nerves and jitters, you can put them to bed. Not sure whether they ever did, but yeah, listen, it's done. A good solid point on the road against, there's a lot of quality in the team. I know they're a team coming up from the first division, but they've recruited really well. Be a difficult team to play against this year.
You made changes in the second half. You appear to have got on top and then Sean got sent off. This is a two-part question. One, what did you think of the sending off? And two, how disappointing was it? Because from there on in, it looked like a bit of a stalemate.
Yeah, it was a sending off, correct. I've no issue with that, so well done to the referee. And yeah, here, stalemate. There's a few nervy moments at each end. I think we gave it a real go, even at times with 10 men. But if there was one team that was going to win it after we scored, I thought it would have been us. I thought we looked fitter, stronger. We're coming into the game really, really strongly. And it's silly from Sean. He's cost us. Yes, he's got us back into the game, but he's cost us. So it'll be dealt with on Monday.
And finally, the away end absolutely packed. That must have meant a lot to you and the team.
Yeah, they're fabulous. They're 12th man, 13th, 14th, 15th, whatever. So fantastic, magnificent travelling support. We're very grateful that they did come, because I know it's a difficult place to get to, especially when there's a tractor convention down here in Waterford or whatever.
The farmers' protest.
The farmers' protest, and they're driving their tractors, yeah. So, no, brilliant from them, and they no doubt played a part in getting us back in the game. So we're very grateful.
Cheers, Damien.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you. This is the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and we're joined by Waterford FC manager Keith Long following the 1-1 draw with Shelbourne. Keith, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I thought it was a half decent game. I thought probably on the balance of play, maybe the scoreline is fair. First half, I thought we were the better side, started the game really well. With a great goal, Melise endears himself to the crowd after 2-3 minutes into his home debut in the league, and took his goal exceptionally well. We had one or two moments in the first half, but generally I thought we played on the front foot. We played with good tempo, good intensity. We competed, and in those duels that you do, the game was probably helter-skelter a little bit. Second half, slightly different insofar as that Shells come out, probably asserted a little bit more dominance in terms of ball possession, made some good changes and affected the game quite well. So, yeah, like I said, it's a positive result for us, I feel. Overall, it would have been nice to finish the game with 3 points, but overall it's probably a fair result.
You have the battling qualities. I think that was obvious for anyone to see tonight, and we saw it in the playoff as well. But that bit of quality and that bit of pace, as a Waterford manager in a different code once said to me, you can't mark pace, and Asamoah certainly has that, and he has skill as well. And then Romeo came in and he made a positive impact, and obviously Barry is controlling things and has that quality around the middle. So that's really important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and it is very difficult to defend power and pace. So we've got it with Connor Parsons. Melissa's come in, and we've got Podge at the point of it tonight, who's obviously a very, very experienced campaigner. Like you said, Barry Bagley, the quality that he has. So we got some half decent players. We've no doubt. We're in no doubt about the size of the task that we face this year. It's opening night one. You'd expect a good performance. I'm glad we did that for the crowd today, and it's a positive result overall.
And some of that crowd are leaving now. Over 4,000 fans here tonight. A great atmosphere generated both before, during and after the game. How important is that going to be for the season, to have that support behind you here at the RSC?
No, it's going to be invaluable, and I've said this several times in the build up to tonight's game. So it's important that we make the RSC a fortress, that the crowd get behind us. The atmosphere in the ground is completely different to what it was last year. We've travelling away support. There's something on it, and it feels like a proper stadium now with supporters. But we want them to get behind the team at all costs. Even in the moments where we're up against it, because there was moments tonight we're up against it tonight. So when the game's in the balance, they need to get behind the team. But again, it's our obligation, to give them something to shout about, to get them behind the team, and that's what we'll try and do.
Cheers, Keith.
Thanks.
This is the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and I'm joined by former Waterford player John Frost and legendary commentator from Waterford, Matt Keane. John, first of all, a 1-1 draw with Shelbourne for the Blues on the opening night. Is that a satisfactory result, or do you think maybe, just maybe, they should have got all 3 points because Shells were down to 10 men for a long time?
Yeah, I think it's a fair result. You know, Waterford did look very good in the first half, and they'd be probably kicking themselves that they didn't go and get a second goal in that period of the game. But you know, Waterford always thought that Shelbourne would have a purple patch, and they did. And in that purple patch, it didn't last very long. It was maybe only for around 10 minutes, but Shelbourne got the goal. And you would think maybe they might kick on then because Asamoah came off, but for Waterford. But then with the red card, it totally changed the game again. So it ebbed and flowed as regards teams trying to get into a flow. Waterford back in the Premier Division, I think they might have been a little bit nervous and they just wanted to get something on the board just to get themselves going. I think they'll go from strength to strength. Waterford. They looked very good, and they will learn a lot from the match tonight. But you know, once again, Damien Duff, his team showing loads of passion, finding a way back into the game as they do, and that's why they finished fourth last season, because they just wouldn't go away for teams, you know. And so in the end, the way the game went, I think 1-1 was a fair result.
We will talk about Shells in a moment, but Matt Keane, who was on LOI TV tonight, and as I say, is a legendary commentator and analyst around these parts, you must have been very happy that Waterford didn't look like rabbits in headlights, and as well as that, a lot of players who were in the first division last year stepped up tonight. They didn't look like they were out of place in the Premier Division, which often happens when a team gets promoted.
I'd agree with you 100%, Oisin, because I mean, take Dara Power, thought he was fabulous tonight, absolutely fabulous, and he was only I won't say a bit player, but he didn't play an awful lot of games last
and he's a local lad as well.
He's from Kilmacthomas. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Barry Bagley got man of the match, solid performance again. He's had better nights with his set pieces, but he did well. But I'm sure Andy Reynolds is going to be delighted and Keane Long with the point, because they really highly rated Shelbourne, and I think they'll be delighted. They'll be disappointed with the goal, the dreadful goal. Great one by Will Jarvis. He cut into the box, but when the ball broke to Sean Boyd, there was no one around, and he just more or less side-footed the ball into the net.
Matt, I'll leave you off because you have to go and do the post-match interviews for LOI TV. John, what did you make of Shelbourne tonight? They were jittery in the first half. You'll give them a pass. It's the opening night. They're away from home. The weather wasn't great, but they improved in the second, didn't they?
Yeah, I was surprised to see how jittery they were. You know, they're usually so organised, but they did improve. Damien Duff brought on a lot of pace. He had to throw caution to the wind a little bit. They were struggling to link up top, and they managed, when they brought on a bit of pace, they managed to link up with the three up top a lot better, and they found a way back into the game. But it's sending off. Just as you thought, Shelbourne are going to maybe own the second half now. Once they got the equaliser, the sending off once again turned the game on its head.
Now you got to look at that. I didn't. As in, you got to look at the replays. Yeah. Was it a deserved straight red for Sean Boyd?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
I didn't see it, and then I saw the replay, and Sean lifted his elbow. I couldn't believe such an experienced player did that. From the referee's point of view, he's looking at it. He has to give a red. If he doesn't give a red, there's going to be another argument why hasn't he given a red, because the elbow has come up, and only the referee can tell if there's connection, but it looks like that there is a connection.
And for Shelbourne fans, they'll be wondering how the new boys did tonight. They had John O'Sullivan in there, they had Lewis Temple, who's only 18, in there, Sean Gannon, who we all know from his exploits with Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk, and then outside of that, they, you know, a lot of the guys who've been there for a couple of years. But what about those new boys? How do you think they did for Shelbourne tonight?
Yeah, Liam Burt I thought was very good.
Liam Burt, another one,
yeah. You know, Scottish lad getting on the ball, and you know, even on this surface with a Waterford were looking to press tonight. Anytime, you could tell the message was, anytime a Shelbourne player gets it, he doesn't turn. But with that pressure on Burt and with the greasy surface, he was still willing to do that. You know, John O'Sullivan willing to make runs in behind, I thought was very good. It was just that they were too far away from each other as regards linking up. And halfway through the second half, when he made the substitutions and the bit of pace, I think Waterford took it one step back, and it allowed Shelbourne to link up a lot better.
Is that the frustrating thing for Shelbourne? They brought on Farrell, Caffrey and Jarvis all in one go, and Boyd came on as well, and they look very good. We should also remember that Ledwidge had to come in a couple of minutes in because Shane Griffin went off injured. Is that the frustrating thing for Shells, that they were getting on top and then that Boyd sending off happened and it kind of broke their momentum?
Yeah, for sure, it did. It was a momentum breaker, definitely. They were having their positive spell, and once they got the sending off, they had to rejig the whole thing. And then, especially with all the substitutions they'd made, they couldn't really change it down to 10 players. They couldn't really change it any further. Do you know, I'm sure they would have liked to have brought on maybe Keith Ward or somebody, but with Ledwidge having to come on in the first half, it didn't allow for any more changes, so they had to make do.
Wardy and his winning smile. Just before I let you go, what about the occasion itself here at the RSC tonight? These fans have been through the pain, haven't they, in the last couple of years? So tonight they really enjoyed it. There was a great atmosphere here, wasn't there? 4,380, I think, attending.
It was absolutely fantastic. You know, yes, we would have loved to have won the game, and we would have really took the roof off the place, and we'd be all dreaming about what could happen this season. But you know, the cold light of day, to get a point on the board and get up and running, and as you said at the start of this, so that we're not caught in headlights. You know, I don't want to put the hex on it, but it is really building nicely for Waterford. Yes, you know, Europe is still beyond us, I think. Wouldn't that be fantastic? But first, to finish in a healthy position, mid-table or a little bit higher, would be fantastic for Waterford. And with the side with the way they played tonight, and with the bench we have, it's building nicely for Waterford. Thank goodness.
John Frost, formerly of Waterford FC, thank you for joining us. You were on commentary with LOI TV tonight. John Frost joining us on the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast here at the RSC.
You're very welcome.
Well, let's stay in Munster, but drop a division. Cork City opened their first division campaign with a 2-0 victory against Kerry. Over 5,000 people were at the cross for this one. Jack Doherty scoring 2 goals. After the game, Tim Clancy gave his reaction.
Really happy. It's listening to us off the back of a long off season. There was a lot of hurt last year with the club going down, and it's a long time from Tallaght Stadium against Waterford to tonight against Kerry. So we were really looking forward to the opening fixture, especially being at home and listen to get a 2-0 win. Jack gets 2 good goals, and we also kept the clean sheet is massively important as well. So happy.
I know Kerry had a lot of young lads as well, but are you happy with how your, I think, 5 teenagers out there, happy with how they kind of settled into life in the league?
Yeah, I think I probably fans might have been looking to see how many signings we were making, and possibly do we need more players in the building. But there is exceptional talents in the academy. 2 of them were on the pitch at the end of the game. A 15-year-old and Jaden. He's very, very young, but he's got a lot of talent. And again, I think we can use him in a intelligent way this season, which will help him progress. And the other side, then you have a 16-year-old Cahill, doesn't play like a 16-year-old, and he's missed a year with his cruise ship, which probably helped him in a roundabout way, that he physically beefed up in the gym, and I thought he was very good. The pitch for this time of year was very good at the start of the game, but you can see it cut up, and there was multiple times in the game where he's received it on his back foot and broke the line with his first touch, and as he's getting at the back 4 or their defence, it just probably popped up or got away from him. And I think as the season goes on, you're going to start seeing a lot more influence from young Cahill.
This is the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and that was Cork City manager Tim Clancy on how his young team did against Kerry, a 2-0 victory for the Leesiders. UCD, who also dropped down from the Premier Division, opened up with a 2-1 win against Bray. O'Brien and Behan with the goals there. Let's hear now from Bray manager Ian Ryan, who spoke to Extratime.com's James Byrne.
Not the start we wanted. First half was particularly frustrating. UCD deservedly went ahead. I felt they looked really sharp for the first 20 minutes and so on. Took us a while to get the grips of the game. The goals for us are really disappointing. You know, we kind of defended well over pre-season and had a solid structure, but the 2 goals are really disappointing. After that obviously dictates how the game goes. UCD are able to camp in, and it's difficult for us to break down, get our goal back, and you know, we could have maybe nicked one at the end, and you know, a draw, we would have snapped our hand off at half time.
And how do you feel with the strong form from pre-season? How that helped the lads bounce back from this defeat?
Yeah, well, I just said to them inside there, you know, pre-season is irrelevant really. You know, it's when the lights come on a Friday night to perform, and we had some brilliant individual performance throughout pre-season, and then there's probably a bit of a dip, if we're honest, tonight. and that's for them to learn. And there's young players in there that need to be able to take a bit of the heat and take a bit of the pressure, because crowd wise we had a brilliant crowd there, great atmosphere, and the club have done really well to get that many through the gate. So we want to keep them, we want to entertain them, I suppose. So yeah, it's disappointing, but it's one game out of our season. It won't dictate or define what we do. We just dust ourselves down and go again.
This is the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and that was the Bray manager Ian Ryan following their 2-1 defeat to UCD. In the other games in the First Division, Treaty United overcame Cove Ramblers by 3-1. Apparently they got a huge crowd, which was way over what they average. Andrew Keane was tweeting about that. That's great to see. Athlone Town beat Wexford 3-0. Is that a bit of a surprise? I think it is a little bit of a one anyway. It's not a major one. In the two games that we heard from, Bray losing 2-1 to UCD and Cork City overcoming Kerry by 2-0. Just to recap in the Premier Division, Bohs 2, Sligo Rovers 2, Derry City 2, Drogheda United 1, Galway United 0, St Pat's 1, Waterford 1, Shelbourne 1 and Shamrock Rovers 1, Dundalk 1. There's one fixture tonight in the SSE Electricity League of Ireland First Division as Longford Town take on Finn Harps. Now, very interesting comments from Finn Harps during the week that if they don't get the new stadium, then the club itself may not last. And I don't think they're dramatising there. That needs to happen. They're a great club. They do wonderful things. And let's hope that that does happen for them. I'm not going to run through the table, by the way. There's no point after the first series of games. Let's have a look ahead to next week, just to remind ourselves as to what's coming up. On Friday, Drogheda take on Waterford, Dundalk up against Galway, Shelbourne meet Shamrock Rovers and St Pat's take on Bohs. In the First Division, Cove Ramblers take on Athlone, Finn Harps are up against Cork City, Kerry take on Bray, UCD meet Treaty and Wexford play Longford Town. That's happening next Friday in the SSE Electricity League of Ireland. And don't forget that Luke will be along in or around Tuesday, Wednesday with a deep dive into what's happening in the league on the Extratime.com League of Ireland podcast. And I'll be back next Friday night / Saturday morning with the Extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. As always, if you want to get in touch, you can do so via Twitter or X at Oisin Langan, or you can get us on at Extratime.com. For more options on how to get in touch, go to Extratime.com. I really hope you enjoyed the opening night. The crowds were up, which was fantastic to see. The stadia, so many of them need to be improved, but look, that's something no doubt we're all sick of talking about. Let's hope it actually happens, because we're at this point now where the stadia can't cater for the demand that's there. And I just hope that the league, the government, and or anyone who's involved with or responsible for getting these things done can see that too and moves very quickly. It takes time. I get that. Facilities are, you can't just click your fingers and make them happen, but we have now seen that the demand is there. That's it from me. I'll talk to you next week. Hope you enjoyed the first night. Take care. Bye bye.